Hi everyone, welcome back to Caitlin's Corner. Today I am at Rogers Gardens for Tomatomania. I plan on showing you around and discussing all of the fundamentals that you need to know about growing tomatoes. So come on, let's go. Tomatomania is one of the largest tomato seedling sales. It's hosted annually at Rogers Gardens here in Corona del Mar, California. This event offers an astonishing selection of over 290 varieties of tomato, including heirloom and hybrid types. Tomatomania started as a small gathering for tomato lovers, but over the years it has grown into a large celebration of community, education, and of course, tomatoes. Their goal is to inspire gardeners to explore new varieties and techniques, making tomato cultivation both fun and rewarding. So first things first, here is the variety list of over 290 varieties of tomatoes. It is front and back, and you can find this list at the customer service center, one of their adorable little huts that they have that gives you all of the information about Rogers Gardens and the different things that are going on here at the time of your visit. Each year, Tomatomania deems one tomato the tomato of the year. And they have listed here their tomatoes of the year from 2025 all the way back through to 2019. And then they have each of those listed plants here displayed so that you can purchase the tomato of the year. So let's talk tomatoes. Whether you're like me and growing in Southern California or somewhere else around the world, growing homegrown tomatoes is so rewarding. Plus, there's nothing better than the taste of a homegrown tomato. One of my goals today is to show you that regardless of the size of your growing area, you too can grow delicious homegrown tomatoes. So let's first start talking a little bit about varieties. First, there are two types of varieties. There are hybrids and there are heirlooms. Hybrids are created by cross-pollinating two different tomato varieties that produce specific traits such as disease resistance, uniform size, or higher yields. They are typically more resistant to diseases. They often have a more uniform shape and size. They tend to have a longer shelf life, but seeds do not produce true type to plant. So if you are one that likes to take seeds from your tomato and then plant them next year, you won't necessarily get the same variety next year if you were to do that. Examples of hybrids are Better Boy and Early Girl. These are really classic varieties. One that I am really interested in this year is called Atlas. And I think we might be picking that up today to grow in my new raised vegetable beds. So the other type are heirlooms, and these are open pollinated varieties that have been passed down for generations, typically upwards of 50 years. They are often valued for their unique flavor and diversity. Some characteristics of heirlooms are they are often more sought after due to their flavor and diversity of appearance. You can save these seeds because they are true to plant type year over year. However, they are more susceptible to disease than hybrids, which is a downside of an heirloom. And they can produce lower yields and be a little bit more finicky of plants. They also have a shorter shelf life due to a more delicate skin. Some examples of well-known heirlooms are Brandywine, Purple Cherokee, and Black Krim. Now, along with that, they have two different growing habits. So there are indeterminate and determinate tomatoes. Indeterminate tomatoes are otherwise known as vining tomatoes. They have a large upward growth habit and they continue producing until frost kills the plant. These require some serious staking or caging. So one thing that you can do is actually espalier your tomato plants that are indeterminate, and this gives you a lot more space for planting other vegetables, especially if you're planting in a smaller space. They grow very tall, upwards of 6 to 12 feet in some cases, and they continuously produce fruit. So if you're looking for something that's going to continuously produce for you throughout the season, the indeterminate type might be best for you. This gives you a longer harvest time and fresher eating throughout the season. Now for determinate types. These are more compact and typically grow somewhere in the neighborhood of 2 to 4 feet tall. They don't require extensive staking like your indeterminates, but they do like a bit of a structure. So think a smaller cage or even a smaller trellis. The fruit ripens in a shorter window, which makes them great for canning and preserving. So you will get a big batch of fruit all within a similar time frame. The way that they have this organized here is by alphabet. So you'll see that they have each letter of the alphabet listed out, and it wraps all the way back around this entire back 40 area of the garden center. If you have more space, the Big Brandy here or any other Brandywine variety of tomato is going to be a really good option for you. They are absolutely delicious heirloom tomatoes that are really sweet and not too acidic. So they're the perfect flavor, at least in my opinion. Brandywine comes in a number of different colors. So there's the big brandy that I just showed you. There is black Brandywine. They have pink and red and yellow Brandywine as well. The interior of this looks really tasty. I personally like a tomato that has a center that is super meaty and very few seeds, and the center of this one looks to be just that. I also like that it's a determinate size tomato because that means that it's going to top out at a relatively small size, which makes it perfect for smaller space gardening. Atlas is one of the varieties that I'm thinking about growing in my garden this year. It is a beefsteak type tomato that I am interested in trying is this goldfinch. I really like yellow tomatoes, and this one is a dwarf yellow tomato that has a compact size and is perfect for containers and has a lower acid. I typically like my tomatoes a little bit more sweet and lower on the acidic flavor. So now let's talk some tips and tricks of growing the best tomatoes. So the first thing is you're going to want to make sure that your tomatoes have ample sunlight. They prefer at least 4 to 6 hours of direct sun on a daily basis. Number 2 is watering. Consistent watering with tomatoes is crucial. A lot of the issues that you might run into with tomatoes come from inconsistent watering. Things like blossom end rot or splitting are caused by inconsistent watering. So make sure that your duration of water and the time of day that you water stays the same. A great way to do this is by utilizing a drip irrigation system with a timer. These are really easy to set up and very effective at pointed watering to your plants. So it's a very environmentally friendly option as well. Number 3 is support. Staking for your tomatoes is really important. Whether you are growing an indeterminate, a determinate, or even a dwarf, you're going to want to make sure that you stake up your tomato plants in some fashion. Whether that be utilizing the Titan tomato cages like I use, a espalier type system with cattle panel and garden ties, or if you want to use a trellis. Just make sure that they have some structure to help them grow. A lot of determinate types or dwarfs, you can even just put one single bamboo stake in or a couple bamboo stakes and keep them tied to that just to give a little bit of extra stability. Number 4 is regular monitoring. So you want to make sure that you are looking at your plants on a daily basis if possible to monitor for pests and diseases. It is best to use integrated pest management for all of your plants, but especially for your fruits and vegetables that you're trying to keep organic. So monitoring pests and just removing them by hand is the lowest option for maintaining your plants, and then working your way up to organic sprays, but utilizing them in a way that is safe for all of your surrounding, including pets and our pollinators. So utilizing them in the morning before the pollinators have come out and using them in the evening after they've already gone to sleep. Do make sure to utilize them sparingly where possible. Also, maintaining great airflow in your plants will help keep you from fungal diseases and powdery mildew. This means selectively pruning your plant in order to keep the airflow circulating through and making sure that wetness does not stay on your plant surface for too long, especially overnight. And lastly is soil and fertilizer. My preference for growing vegetables is in raised beds or pots. I like to be able to manage the soil and fertilizer directly. This way, my plant gets all of the nutrients that it needs. I like to use a high quality organic potting soil, compost, and fertilizer at planting. Then monthly, I go along and side dress my plants with the appropriate fertilizer. I like to make this easy for myself by doing this for all of my vegetables and fruits at the exact same time on a repetitive monthly cadence. I will absolutely show you how I manage all of my vegetables and fruits in later videos as we go along with the growing season. So this year, one of their big highlights are these dwarf varieties of tomato, and these ones are perfect for containers and raised beds. So I plan on highlighting at least one or two varieties of these dwarf type in my garden this year. I want to show all of you how you can garden in a small area and have prolific fruit. So as you can see here, they give you instructions for how to plant tomatoes in a pot and be successful, which is great for those of us that have smaller yards or are gardening on our balconies or patios. So one of the things that I love about this festival here is that they have so many different varieties that you probably have never even heard of before. This one looks really interesting to me based upon all of the details. So it's called Great White, and as you can see, it's a large white yellow tomato, and it says that the flesh is actually really tasty and deliciously fruity. So this is also really interesting. They have collector editions. I don't know much about these, admittedly, but wow, how cool that you could get these really fancy tomatoes and try them out. This one's called Woodstock. Mango. So this one is actually bred by UC Davis, and it was done so specifically for Southern California conditions. So that's really interesting. I love that they have this tomato starter kit for sale here. This makes it so easy for individuals that have never grown tomatoes before. So as you can see, it has the blue ribbon blend, the pot, pulp pot here, and a tomato cage. So you'll get exactly everything here in this photo. Tomatomania at Rogers Gardens in Corona Del Mar, California runs from February 28th to March 9th. So whether you are coming to Tomatomania or you're looking to gather inspiration for what tomatoes to grow in your garden this year, I hope that this video has been helpful and inspirational. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and also share your favorite tomato in the comments below. I want to know what you like growing. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time. Bye.